Welcome to the Recovery Toolkit podcast. I'm Richie. I'm going to be your host. Throughout the series, we're going to talk to a range of different people who will give you tools and tips to help manage your recovery. The podcast itself is being brought to you by Epic Restart Foundation, who are a national charity who support people to rebuild a positive life after gambling harm. So welcome to this episode of the Recovery Toolkit podcast. Very special episode today because I've got two guests, and this is the first time we've done one of the podcasts when we've got two guests on. But as we go through the podcast, you'll probably understand why these two guys are sitting together. So we've got Trev and we've got Craig. Trev, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you're in recovery from and why you sat here with us today?
Yes, thank you, Richie. My name's Trevor Dudgeon. Back in 2021, I was suffering with alcohol abuse. Now, I wasn't an alcohol-addicted person where obviously I was turning to alcohol on a daily basis, but I did have a relationship 3 or 4 times throughout that year where if I went out, all responsibilities would just leave us, and the drink took over me, I suppose. So first of all, I was in recovery for alcohol for about 6 months, and then I realised that the AA rooms wasn't the initial problem. It was actually gambling that I was hiding. And that came apparent when it got too much, when I was approached by people that recognised it within us that I'd taken money that I shouldn't have done from places I shouldn't have done. And it forced me to obviously come clean about my addiction that I was hiding. And it really hit home. The addiction really hit home at the fact that although I was trying to facade it and put a facade on in regard to it was the drink that I had a problem with, it wasn't actually the drink, it was the gambling. Because as soon as I walked into GA for my first meeting, I just felt a massive release. I was in a room full of strangers, didn't know what to expect, but I knew once I spoken within that room and spoke to the people that understood what I was going through, I was in the right place.
Yeah.
So it actually, so obviously that was 2 years ago when I walked into the room on the 1st of March, but because it's a leap year today, it's actually 2 years today, 730 days.
Yeah.
Gambling.
Brilliant, mate.
So,
Unbelievable achievement. You know, you want to be really proud of yourself. This podcast's probably going to go out on a different date of that, but that's the date we've recorded, isn't it? You know, 29th of February. Trevor Dudgeon, 2 years,
yes,
gamble free. What's it like to hear that?
Unbelievable. I didn't think first and foremost that I would ever get that far, because when you realise it's obviously it's an addiction, and you realise that you've stripped to the bare bones and you've got nothing left, there's only 2 ways you can go: continue down the same path that you're on and obviously knacker everything up, or prosper and thrive and grow and learn about yourself and trust in the people that you're going to surround yourself in, and put yourself first for once, I think.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I've done. Hence as to why
Brilliant,
we are where we are.
You know, I love that story. Obviously, we're pals. I've seen that story play out, and you really need to give yourself a massive pat on the back for what you've achieved, you know. Craig, if we come to you, do you want to tell us a little bit about, you know, how you are sat here with us today?
Yeah, I'm Craig. So I tried to stop gambling when I was 24. Went to GA, probably not for myself, probably for others. Got forced into the room, did a year, and then thought I was cured, like a lot of people think they do. And it wasn't until 7 years later, it just caused utter destruction, not to only myself, but my family and all the people I cared about us. And I think that the true reason why I'm sat here today is because I was just sick. I was just sick of gambling. I was sick of getting into the same routine, waking up, thinking about betting when I should be thinking about my kids or thinking about how to better myself, and everything got put on the back burner and I just let myself go completely. And I'd like to say, entering my third year in recovery, that I've made a massive change, and I'm a better person, I'm a better father, I'm a better partner, and I'm trying to do my best to help people in the gambling harm community. So.
Yeah, brilliant. So we talk about recovery. You know, we're all in recovery. What does recovery mean to you, Trev? What does it stand for?
It stands for, first and foremost, I think it's a good physical well-being, good emotional well-being, and good mental health. Recovery's done so much for me. It's give not just myself but my kids a future, and that's the most important thing.
When you say give your kids a future, what do you mean by that?
It means that we've got stuff to look forward to. Because when I remember, obviously, when I was in the rut of the gambling, I could never see past that day. I could never see a future, or I was trying to always win a future that I had right in front of my eyes, basically. So when obviously all the gambling came out, I didn't think I had a future. It literally drove us to the point where I was driving down the A19 and drove an extra lorry for about five minutes at the same speed in the fast lane, not worrying about the traffic binders, and just thinking it would be easier to throw my wrist to the left and pull the wheel underneath the lorry. And that would have been the easiest option at the time. That was my thought process until obviously my kids came into my mind, and I ended up pulling over the car on the side of the hard shoulder and just give myself 5 minutes, and that's when I realised that I actually needed the help and I needed to get myself better for a future for my kids, and that's exactly what it is. That's recovery, and that's what it's done for us.
And here you are, 2 years on, you know.
Yeah,
Different person?
completely.
So what's different now, Trev? So, you know, and we don't need to talk about the addiction, Trev and the addiction, but what's different now to Trev in recovery? What's it give you? What's recovery give you?
I think I've always been a caring person, and I've always cared for others, no matter the relationship that I've had with people. I have been down to earth, I think, as a human being, but I was very much egotistical as well at times, and obviously with the growth of business and the growth of yourself, you find you get lost in that cycle of when things become easy, and that's where I was. So
Craig, if we come on to you, tell us a little bit about your support.
I've got so much support. I think this is the reason why I believe I failed at 24. Didn't have nothing around us, and I firmly believe to keep going in your recovery and keep being gamble free, you need a support network around you, whether that's like-minded people or Gamblers Anonymous, or being involved in Epic and stuff like that. It's really crucial because you can be accountable to them. You can say how you feel without any judgment. But I also find that all my support networks do very similar things to me. So whether that's the cold water therapy or the running, we're very similar. So I don't feel like I'm ever alone, and I think that's crucial for me because for a while I felt like I was always alone. I felt like I was the only one who had a gambling problem out there, and the truth of the matter is, obviously, I don't, but it's hard to get out of that thought process when you're in it initially. But when I realise that now, I've got all these people around us that I can go for meals with and just talk about my day-to-day life. It's a really critical part of my recovery.
Yeah. So like I said at the beginning, we've never had two people sat on the same podcast with us. So why are you two sat together? Tell us what's going on there. What's the dynamic?
You tell me.
I'll let you go first.
Me and Craig.
Where did you meet?
GA. The first day I walked into GA, I remember Craig sitting in the top right hand corner because I sat at the back, and he sat in the top right hand corner, feet stretched out, just staring at the floor. I remember it like it was yesterday, and I was sitting in the back of the room. I think it was about 15, 16 people in there, and obviously when I walked in and I released what it was, that my story, I just cried. Like I was really upset and emotional. And then after the meeting, obviously Craig dropped us a message and just said, listen, I hope you're okay and stuff. And where friendship didn't really grow from there, although it was just starting out and we were there within the GA setting. We weren't really talking outside of that, were we?
No.
And then Epic came along. Obviously I was introduced to Epic. And I went on 1 or 2 events, I think, before the Lillishall event.
Right.
And it was amazing. And every time I went back into the GA room, I used to shout about how brilliant, obviously, the foundation was and what I got from that weekend, and share it with everybody that was in recovery because there was so much beneficial from it. And that's when Craig came to Lillishall and the two of us travelled down. And it was literally like sitting talking to myself when we were sitting having a conversation one-on-one for the first time on the train on the way down. And that's where the friendship blossomed, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You learn something new every day because I didn't know that.
Aye.
Like I'm sitting here going, really? Like I thought yous were quite close before yous actually come to Lillishall. For those that don't know, Lillishall is one of the events that Epic Restart Foundation run, which basically helps people build new habits and learn about, behavior change and learn about how they can actually just spend 8 to 10 minutes a day doing something that can potentially help change their life.
Mm-hmm.
Craig, tell us what you got from that event, apart from Trev being your mate.
Do you know, like, I used to always have a really bad relationship with the language, I guess. I used to have bad anxiety, but I used to say my anxiety as if it was like there forever, when I realised it was just a feeling that was there at that moment. And I was really nervous actually, like heading down there, because I didn't know what to expect. Obviously it's a big event, and you're putting yourself out of your comfort zone, I guess. And when you see the likes of the people that were hosting it, like Royal Marines and ex-forces and stuff like that, like really inspirational people. He said something, and it was just like a light bulb moment. He says, like, anxiety is when you're thinking about the future, and depression's when you're thinking about the past. And it was just like, just straight away something clicked, and I went back home, and I was just so emotionally drained, and just everything. And I just said to Danielle, I was like, that was the best thing that I've ever been on. And honestly, I've said it so many times on different things. It really did change my life. Just everything, like my thought processes, just in how I believed in myself. I always thought I was a loser and a waste of space, and I realised that I was just going through a tough time. And then when these people give us the tools to implement my life, and then the likes of you and Steve, I'll be forever grateful, because I honestly don't know how my recovery would be without Epic. And I've done a lot of things, but I feel like all them things are down to Epic to give us that confidence to go out there and do it. Because I'm not ashamed to tell my story anymore. I'm proud of who I've become.
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying it's down to Epic. It's not Craig, it's down to you. You've went and done the work, might have give you a few ideas and helped you facilitate a few things, but I think giving yourself a pat on the back every now and again, something you could probably do a bit more of. Since that event, you've went on to do a lot of stuff, you know, and I don't think you even understand the compound effect that has happened in your community by some of the things you've done, you know. And do you want to tell those that are listening some of the things that happened after that event? You know, some of the things you set up and got involved in. And
Yeah. So when I was at Lillshall, one of the mentors, I guess, she was talking about cold water therapy. She said that she went in the Lake District quite often, and after she said that, I tried a cold shower for the first time in my room, and I hated it, absolutely hated it. And then after that, went to a men's mental health group, Ice Guys, and that was mainly down to George Street, the football team that I played for at the time. It was just to try and relax the muscles, I guess, and didn't realise what it did for us. And then off the back of that, created me morning cold water group, which me and Trev used to do quite often. And then just opportunities just came my way. And, you know, I talk about butterfly effect and fate a lot, and I feel like all these opportunities were presented to me at the right time. It was whether down to me whether to say yes or no. Majority of the time, obviously, I said yes, because I firmly believe that every time I've said yes, it's helped not only me, but the community around us. And then I did a video for Speedos, talking about me gambling addiction, even though I didn't delve too much into it. It was just more or less to say that I was addicted to gambling, and this is what I used to, you know, help me out. And then off that, I did another video, and then just podcasts came my way, and I feel like last year was a really big year for us, but I feel like this one's going to be even bigger. It's just, like I say, opportunities come my way, and it's, I think people take inspiration from you talking and being so open and honest about something that's really needs to be talked about.
yeah, I think there's a lot of power in vulnerability, isn't there? Vulnerability. As soon as somebody shows vulnerability, somebody feels safe to be able to show that vulnerability back. And I think that's important. And I think that's the power of lived experience, isn't it? Lived experience gives people that connection, you know. You mentioned there you started cold water therapy group. You know, Trev, you used to go along to that. Cold water, you still do cold water therapy now. What's some of the things that you get from doing cold water therapy?
I use it as a reset. It's a brilliant reset for me. Not just on the community aspect of obviously going and enjoying it, but when I get in that water, there's no other feeling like it, because everything else that's going on in your mind is just disappears. It's just you in the open water, because it's that cold. You can't think of anything else, but it's a good thing because it resets you. And it's just an absolute buzz, and I love it. I love the community aspect of it. I love being part of the groups that we are in, and I love introducing it to new people as well, and seeing them for the first time, but watching them build over a period of time of how it changes their mind and how it changes their lives, so to speak, as well. Because I've always said it, but if you start your day by doing that and going up against your mind and obviously putting yourself in that vulnerable position and getting through it, the rest of your day is an absolute breeze.
Yeah. It's powerful, isn't it?
It's
really, really powerful thing. And it's uncomfortable, but that's why it's powerful.
Yeah.
Because it's so uncomfortable to get in the sea or your tub or whatever. It makes it, you know, like something, it's a win, isn't it? We've won the day already.
Yeah.
Before 7 o'clock or before anybody else has even got out of bed. You know, you've took that first step to doing something good for yourself. And I think it's good. And out of that group that you started, Craig, you have now got quite a strong social group of friends. Do you want to tell us about some of the stuff that you have been doing as a group of people in recovery?
So obviously, if I go to the Ice Guys group, I feel like there's a lot of inspirational people in that group, and we start running before dips sometimes. And recently, I've noticed like a pattern change, and people starting to put their running shoes on, and it's really great to see that people are trying to, you know, change their habits, I guess, and trying to better themselves mentally. When it comes down to the morning group that we had, we've had barbecues on the beach, we've had late night dips, and I mean, everyone's kids get to know each other. You know, obviously you both know Charlie. Like, I love him to bits, and he's just an absolute legend. Like around Shire, and you know, I think I just want to quickly touch up on this. I think that is me like ultimate goal out of all this. The fact that me kids like really do worship us now, and they see us as like a hero. And I think for a long time, not that they'll know, but put them through some crap basically. And I'd like to say that now, you know, I'm a better person, and obviously they can enjoy life like I am, and make new friendships themselves. And I think he picks up on the habits that I do, and he wants to be a nice guy, and he wants to be a runner, and I really do believe that all these networks that we've got involved in and created, we're having like a ripple effect, should you say? Yeah. And
I love that phrase. You know, I think the ripple effect of what used to have set in motion in the Northeast for people in recovery is quite phenomenal, if I'm honest, because I know Craig used to come up with the idea, but Trev, your contribution and passion and just the empathy that you have for other people gets them involved in stuff that they just never ever thought they would have been involved in, you know. And I'm laughing because I don't know how long it was, but Trev was trying to get us in a WhatsApp group, and I was like, I don't do WhatsApp groups. I don't want it. I'm not getting involved in that. And do you know what it is? Since joining that WhatsApp group, it has changed my life a little bit as well, you know. So the ripple effect that you know starts from one person's one idea, you know, has a massive sort of impact on the community. Yeah. And Craig, I love what you've just said. It's had a massive impact on your family, hasn't it? Your relationships, your kids. You know, they see you as a role model now, you know, where in the past you probably weren't present. Yeah. You know, and I think that's the joy of recovery, is that addiction affects so many people, don't they? I reckon 6 to 10 people are affected by somebody's addiction. Yeah. But if that's how many people are affected by their addiction, why can't there be 10 times that amount of people affected by their recovery? Yep. You know, and I've been down to Ice Guys, I've been down to the beach. Sometimes there's over 100 people on that beach getting into cold water because of the group you started. And that's the truth of the matter, you know. I know you talk about Ice Guys and you talk about others, but that group you started on the morning, I don't know how many's in that WhatsApp group before years left. There was a few hundred, wasn't there?
I think there was about 40 or 50 people in that group.
But, you know, when you look at it, you read, like, people have ended up getting into relationships over it. People, like, there's one, she won't mind us saying, but unfortunately, my sister's good friend lost her baby, and then we ended up doing a memorial dip. And it's just stuff like that that really hits us hard, you know, like when I think people are benefiting off a free thing. Yeah. And that's what it is. You don't have to spend anything to create that feeling, like, and I think that's one thing I'm going to obviously touch up on later, but most of the stuff I do now in life to get these highs are free.
Yeah. Amazing, isn't it?
That the truth?
Doesn't cost you a penny. Costs you a little bit of time. You've still got to commit. You've still got to do it. Yeah. Is it easy?
What, recovery or? No, it's not. It's gone.
Not the slightest. The amount of work that you need to put in behind the scenes, just keeping up with appearances, etc. To just keep yourself sane, it's hard because then you've got everyday life as well. Like, so, although we may be part of all these communities and doing with stuff, we've still got day-to-day jobs, still got family life, still got problems that people deal with on a day-to-day basis. And to keep all that going, as well as obviously struggling from the one thing that you used to find the escape from, it's hard living a life of recovery, definitely.
Yeah, one of my favourite sayings is, you might see me shine in the light, but you didn't see the work I've done in the dark. And I think that's true of recovery, because if you don't do the work, you don't shine in the light. and that's something that I see in both of you is, you know, you show up at these community events, you show up at these places, but behind that you're doing work, aren't you? You're doing work on yourself. You're trying to increase your self-awareness. You're trying to become a better version of yourself. You're trying to do things that improve. You know, I know you have been on some of our Epic Restart Foundation events. You know, you learn, you put yourself in position so that you can learn more about yourself. What's some of the things that you've potentially learned about yourself, Craig, since you got into recovery?
I think that I've got to say the first one, like it's probably the biggest thing. For years, I used to let fear rule my life, like you wouldn't believe. And I'm going to use a reference for work, for example. So like I would get opportunities to do work outside of work. So I do plumbing, and I would get offered to do jobs. And before the job had even begun, I've broke the bath. You know, like I've made a leak everywhere. And that's the thought that would go on in my mind. And I would always do worst case scenario. And then that would lead to fear. And then I would go, oh, look, I can't make it. You know, partner's working. And the fear would have overtook us. Fear wouldn't let us progress in life, wouldn't let us see if there was an opportunity to do a manager's role or something at work, or a temporary supervisor, wouldn't go for it. And then I went on Epic's event, Challenge by Choice, and tell you what, like, the fear, I ain't got no fear anymore, I tell you. That fear just went out of me. Don't get us wrong, when I was doing the challenges, I was scared, like, I was really scared. But you know, when you I think it was actually you that broke it down for us. I was on the top like level, if you want to call it, on the Via Ferrata, and I just couldn't move, just froze. And I was trying to tell myself that this is the reason I was here, to let this fear go, not just fear of heights, just fear in general. And when you talked us through it, and I like broke it down in stages, I realised it wasn't that bad. And maybe if I'd done that in the past and broke it down in stages, it would have been different. But, you know, I always say, like, I need to do something to challenge myself, and doing that give me another tool. You know, like, I don't need fear anymore. Yes, fear's good to have, but I use the fear as fuel now. And on the second event, which was a zip wire, I was the first one on. I was screaming, like, but I loved it. And I was like, is this what like thrill seeking is? You know, is this why? So I think the next thing's jumping to a plane, like.
Yeah, careful what you wish for, Craig. we've just booked that. Trev, what about yourself?
What have I learned about myself? Where do I begin? I didn't know myself. I literally didn't know myself when I first came into recovery. The facade that I used to put on of the person I wasn't me. My sister sent us a picture 2 or 3 days ago of me sitting on my dining room table 3 years ago, and I didn't recognise the person that I was. I was sitting in my uniform in front of that laptop on the phone, and when I looked at that picture, I got angry, I got frustrated, I got upset, because I just didn't recognise that person that I was. And it's mad to see, like, the person I am today, and how calm I am, like how much I've learned about myself in regards to how things affect us, what trigger points are, people that I associate with now, like what I want in life, what I don't want to be around in life. And these are all choices that I used to just make because they were the thing it was just a thing to do. Yeah. Not actually thinking about consequences or thinking about reality or thinking about what was good for me. Just because other people were doing it, I'm going to go and do it. That's not the case anymore. So it's
been a journey.
Aye. Oh, has it not? And it continues to be.
Yeah, and I think that's
we're only
important,
2
isn't it?
years in.
This is just the beginning, isn't it?
That's it.
You know, you're a few years into recovery. Life is better, not necessarily easier, because you still have tough times, but you get through it. You've got the tools now to get through it. Something I want to touch on with you, Craig. We've had loads of conversations around recovery and what it is, and you know, your perception of. And one of the things I heard a lot like you used to say in your early recovery was, you know, I was addicted to gambling because I had a big win and I was chasing a win. I was chasing the money, you know. And we've had some conversations. What have you learned since your early days in recovery compared to now, and how do you see gambling served you, do you think?
I'll touch up on the first point. I used to, when I first entered recovery, I used to dwell a lot about what I'd done, and I felt like it was not letting us progress in my recovery. Whether that was the money lost, the people that I'd hurt, just the things I'd done, you know. And I don't know whether it was the Lil Show again or whatever, but something just clicked again. And once I realised that it was actually reflecting that I was doing, you know, like what could have been and whatever, but like I look back now and think about all the good that I've done. I think that's one thing that I've learned, but I think gambling served me just to hide my emotions. Like, if I'm going to use one example, which I've never talked about, like, I was really close to my uncle. Like he was my mum's brother, and I actually found him dead. So, as you can imagine, all the emotions that I was going through in my head, and just didn't know how to process it. Like, obviously, had grief, sadness, anger. You know, I could rattle off another 20 more, but I think within a few weeks and months, the first thing I thought that would solve the problem was to go on a slot machine. And that's all I ever done from the age of 15 to 31. Whenever a bad situation would happen, and yes, death's bad, but if I had a bad day at work, I would treat that as the same sort of thing, and it's not. And like, that's what Epic, Gamblers Anonymous, they've given us all these tools. So when I do have a bad day at work, I can talk to it. Like, I talk about it, with my support network or my partner, or I can journal. And I don't have to use a slot machine or go into a casino anymore. And like, that was probably one of the toughest moments of my life. Like proper up there, you know, like,
Yeah.
find someone like that.
I think, you know, and thanks for sharing, and obviously sorry for your loss and what you went through, but the fact that you sat there now and saying, Craig, early in recovery was, you know, I was trying to win me money, I was trying to chase the buzz, but actually what you've learned about yourself now, and through doing the work and an increased self-awareness, is now that actually I was trying to avoid pain. I was trying to avoid discomfort, and I was trying to, you know, mask what was actually really going on in my life. And I think that's a massive realization, you know, and some people don't realize how big of a realization that is, you know, and that's lots of realizes.
Can I just say one thing as well? Like, you know, you mentioned that, but I really do believe that gambling gave us the ability to survive that moment in time. And like, if I didn't have gambling, then I don't know, whether I'd be here now.
It serves its purpose, doesn't it?
It done what it done, but unfortunately, it hurts people along the way. But at the same time, like, I firmly believe I'm sat in this seat right now to help future people maybe not go down the path that I did.
That helps you make sense. That's your new belief. That isn't a belief you had in the past. That's a new belief that you've now got. And what better belief to have than that? I went through that to help other people.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's really important that we find a way to make sense of our past, don't we? Otherwise, it just eats away at us. We sit with guilt and shame and remorse and all them things. But actually, if we reframe it and we put it in a position where I went through that, so I can go and help other people, then we can put us on a good foot. You mentioned a few things there, Craig, around tools that you have, you know, and something we ask everybody on this podcast is what's, you know, 3 things that are in your toolkit that help you in your recovery. So because there's 2 of you, I'm going to do this a little bit different. Trev, do you want to go first? And then Craig, you can give one, and we'll see. The only thing I'm going to challenge you with is you're not allowed to say the same thing.
Yep.
So I've let you off, Trev, because you're going first.
I think you touched on it earlier on, and it's learning about yourself. I think that's my first tool is learning about myself, learning what my triggers are, learning what I like, what I dislike, what causes stress, what causes anxiety, what causes to react in certain situations and ways, and coming to understand myself has allowed us to come on to the next part, which I'll get you after here.
No, that's what I haven't said. My first critical tool has to be exercise.
Yeah.
Just whether it's a walk in nature or
What do you get from exercise, Craig? Why is that so important to you?
I think it's the peace. I really do. Like, as much as people going, but run 30 miles, you get peace of that. I do. I really do. Like I say, if I've had a bad day, the first thing that I tend to do is have a run, and it's all I'm thinking about, the run.
Yeah.
And everything else just gets blanked out, and doesn't necessarily have to be physical exercise. It can be mental. And like we've previously mentioned, whether that's going in the tub or I did a breath work session last night.
So you're trying to pinch your next tool, Trev?
Not quite. Not quite. I'm listening.
But it is, isn't it? Get out your head and into your body.
Basically.
Get out your head and into your body.
Yep.
Trev, what's your second tool in your toolbox?
And my second thing is keeping calm. So being patient and keeping myself calm is definitely my second tool.
How do you do that?
By not reacting emotionally to situations, giving yourself time to reflect on whatever it is that you're facing, and actually dealing with it manageably in your own time and effectively with facts, not with emotions, but actually just allowing yourself to take a breather rather than rushing into stuff, and just sit with it for a while. Nothing needs to be rushed, and how you react to people, how you react to situations, is dependent on your mood and obviously how you are, and that for me, it's just distilled so much calmness in us that I think I'm too laid back at times, but I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that Epic Restart Foundation, we call that mind the gap. You know, so between stimulus and response, you have a choice. In that choice lies your freedom. In that freedom, you know, you can be whoever you want to be, basically.
Yeah, I remember you saying, don't always go for the first train that comes into the station. Wait for the second one, just to give yourself that time.
Yeah, and it is, isn't it? It's it's a bit of a cliche, I guess, but actually it's so true. You know, if you just give yourself time, you can make a better decision most of the time. What's the second thing in your toolbox, Craig?
It's got to be connection, like 100%. We talked about WhatsApp. I'll be going to WhatsApp Anonymous next because I'm in that many groups. Like, but no, like, you know, I use it for the positives and the negatives, I guess. And I mean negative in the way that if I ever feel that I was going to have a bet, I've got so many people that I could speak to. And positive just because of the different groups I'm in. You know, we've got the running group, and then we've got the Ice Guys group, and then everything else, you know, in between. And, you know, whether it's going out for a meal or a walk, just getting that bit of connection with like-minded people really does help you further in your recovery. Like,
yeah, good stuff. Trev, number 3.
Brings us on to gratitude, being grateful. whether that be writing a gratitude diary, or just, again, taking a minute to be grateful for where you are today, for everything you've got around you, whether it be the groups that we're part of, the friendships that we're building, the community, the work, the fact that you're waking up in the morning, everything that's basic things in life, just being grateful for basic things in life.
Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it?
Just it's like a new lease of life, aren't it?
Yes, appreciate what you've got, and you get a whole lot more.
Appreciation, definitely.
Yeah. Craig, what's the third thing in your toolkit?
I'm torn. Like, I've got two that are like really.
Well, give us them both, Craig. You can't say that and not give us them both now.
The first one's got to be present. Many times I was gambling, couldn't even tell you what was going on in the household because I was just stuck to my phone. But you know, there's many of points throughout the year where being present is key, and Christmas is one of them. And like now, I've had the best Christmases, you know, the past few years because I've been there and I've been present. I've been able to watch them open their presents, and that's a really good one for me. And the last one is journaling/video journaling. So I write down like how I've been feeling, how my day's been going, the achievements I've done, if any, that day, small wins. But I also tend to do videos in my tub, and I watch every single one back because it's for me. So like what I'm saying is in my brain at that time, but getting a chance to watch it back makes us realise, right, you know, you're in a good place, you're doing well. And even on the days that I'm having a bad day, I've talked about it. And people are probably sick of seeing my face on videos, but I just like to talk now because it's something that I was really rubbish at doing.
Yeah.
And
it's not easy though, is it?
No,
it's a skill you've got to learn, hasn't it? You've got to have the courage. You've got to commit. You've got to make sure that you're getting it out of your head, aren't you? That's the joy of doing that. Whether you write a journal or you do a video journal, what you're doing is you're getting stuff out of your head.
Yeah.
If you then watch the video back or you read the journal back, that's reflection. That's understanding yourself.
Yeah.
And for me, that has to be the most important thing. And you touched on, Trev, who am I? Tool one in Trev's toolbox. Who am I? Let's work out who I am, identify what my triggers are, work out coping strategies. And a lot of people say to me, oh, I just want to give up gambling, I want to stop drinking, whatever it is. And I say, you've got to do the work. And people say, what's the work? That's the work.
Yeah.
You know, they're the things you're talking about. That's doing the work. You know, and that's what looks after you. That's what keeps you on track. That's how you look after yourself in recovery, is by continually doing the work. And what serves you now might not serve you in the future, you know, but that's okay because it served you for that period of time. Just like you said, Craig, gambling served you for a period of time. What you've done now is you found much healthier, much better tools in your toolkits so that you can manage your lives in a much better way, you know. And I think for me, that is recovery.
Yeah.
You know, find the tools that you need so that you can manage your life in a more positive way than what you had in the past, which was quite destructive.
Completely agree.
Good stuff, guys.
Thank you, Richie.
I want to thank you both for coming on. Really good conversation. I love what you have brought to the Northeast recovery scene in your groups and your challenges and all that sort of stuff. And thank you both for being part of my recovery support network. And hope you go on and smash Edinburgh Marathon in May.
Cheers.
I forgot to mention that one.
Thanks for listening to the Recovery Toolkit podcast. If you took something positive from it, then why not subscribe? If you or somebody you know has been suffering gambling-related harm, why not head over to our website where you can join our community? The link is in the show notes.